allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you to all that are in attendance. We'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Our agenda is set, so we'll move into presentations. I think Mr. Peterson will start us off.
Thank you. I have a few students and groups that I want to recognize tonight. I'll start with our theater students, and because the list of our theater students was quite lengthy, we're going to recognize them in groups. And even though they're not all here, we'll flash their name up here on the screen, as we call them, by certain categories. So theater has been around for thousands of years. Great stories unfold in live action. As an audience, our emotions are often moved in ways that don't happen in TV and that doesn't happen in movies. As performers, it takes a special talent to take that stage and bare your soul to the audience. A high school production, to do that in front of your peers, takes an incredible talent. I'd like to recognize those students who did just that, and to say thank you to all of those fine actors and actresses, both in front of the curtain and behind it, who through their role in the production of Guys and Dolls, allowed us to escape and enjoy a night at the theater. You did an amazing job. So the first group I'd like to recognize is our lead. So if you are part of this group, please stand up and take a bow. There's a couple of them. Thank you, guys. And our supporting cast, that's you. Stand up, take a bow. And our actors who have actually various roles in the show, and see at least one on this here tonight. Take a bow, sir. And our cameos. There's at least one, there's two, great. Our guys. Ty?
No.
No, is he not here? Okay, well, we're going to have a round of applause anyway. There's a long list here, so it's got to be a few of them from this hot box girls. There's at least one. Good job. Some pictures from the show. Our mission band. All right, there's one. And we couldn't do without the backstage crew. Pit band. And then lastly, the production staff, including our director, Wendy Bergman, who just did a fantastic job as a kid. So it really was a magical night at the theater. All of you, great, great job. Another group I want to recognize, and I'll let you guys go after the student recognition part, which won't be more than a few more minutes. But the other students I want to recognize this month are our Students of the Month, our March Students of the Month. We started it for the month of March, and when you come in, you can see their pictures hanging over there in the lobby. I think it's a great way to recognize students that are doing things the right way. Bought them lunch, sent a letter home, invited them to come to the board meeting with the recognition that they couldn't all be here, but I'll say a few nice words about them. And those that are here, step forward and I'll present you with just a certificate saying how awesome you are. So we'll start with Scott Tripp, who I don't know if I saw Scott. He's not here. Scott, the teacher who nominated Scott said Scott comes to class prepared and enthusiastic about the activity we are doing in class, and he gives his best effort every class. He's helpful and kind to his classmates at all times. Scott Tripp. Auburn Snyder. Auburn completes her assignments, helps other classmates, asks questions, and works hard in class. She prepares for success by completing extra work that her teacher has given her to prepare for her Regents exam in June. Olivia Tobias. Olivia's enthusiasm for learning is inspiring to me, her teacher says. In class, she's always on task and her work is excellent. In addition, I've never observed her treating anyone with anything but respect, and she is especially kind and welcoming to new students. She's a pleasure to have in class, and I'm happy that she's in my class. Olivia Tobias. Sadie Bush. Sadie was nominated for Student of the Month because of her dedication and willingness to overcome difficult challenges and never giving up. She's an inspiration to others. Victoria Mandel, who I did see. There she is. Come on down. Tori has struggled this year understanding some of the concepts of the course, but this month she has put in extra effort, worked harder than she ever has in her life, and she's asked questions and sought help to understand the material. The extra effort has paid off with excellent grades on the unit assessment. Her determination and hard work will serve her well in the future. Tori, there you go. Congratulations. Julie Muntz. I nominated Julie because she comes to class every day fully prepared and ready to work. She completes every assignment with consideration and thought. She's an exceptional student and a model for others. She motivates me to be a better teacher, the teacher said. So Julie, great job. Two more. Lindsay Vanderkoom. Our recent unit was an individualized pacing activity, and Lindsay completed the unit 4 days ahead of schedule and took the time to complete 2 extra credit opportunities and helped a handful of other students. Lindsay also combined her art skills with her new acquired knowledge to create an animated cartoon on her tablet depicting the content we worked on in class. Lindsay. And last but not least, McKenna Johnson. McKenna is a thoughtful, diligent student who always puts her utmost effort into her work. She is a pleasure to have in class. Great job, McKenna. I'm going to turn it over to McKenna here in just a second. Our last bit of recognition was from our indoor track team, who actually requested that they have an opportunity to come before the board and just say thank you. Before they do that, I'll just read their names. I think all of them are here but one. Colin Graham. Colin, if you're here, stand up and just put a wave. You're good there. McKenna Johnson, who you'll hear from in a moment. Zach Hall. And Nick Munger is the one who couldn't be here. But Nick's father dropped off a letter that he asked that I would share and read. I know you all have a copy. It says, "Dear members of the Oakfield-Alabama School Board, I would like to thank you for giving myself and 3 other student athletes a chance to participate in indoor track and field. Indoor track was an option for me to participate in a winter sport that I truly enjoyed." This is written from Nick himself, whose father dropped it off. "After I was selected for indoor track, I was injured in the last football game of the season. I didn't know how long this injury would keep me out of track. It turned out to last half the season. Even though I was injured, I still went to every practice and worked hard on what I was physically cleared to do. I went to all the meets before I could compete to cheer on my fellow teammates. My goal was to make sectionals and represent my school well. The day after I was cleared to run, I ran my first indoor race. I was able to compete in the last 4 weeks of the season, and I made sure that every race counted. I was able to qualify for the sectionals in the 1,600 meters. The Batavia coaches trained me like every other athlete, even though I had medical restrictions that kept me from competing. The coaching staff helped me obtain a personal record and become a better athlete. The Batavia track athletes were very accepting of having our OA athletes join them. Thank you for the opportunity that you gave me this year. I hope I get the opportunity to participate with Batavia's indoor track again next year. If OA could try to get our own indoor track and field team, this would give many students another option for winter sport. Thank you very much, Nicholas Munger." And then with that, I'll turn it over to McKenna.
Yeah. We just wanted to thank everyone for giving us the opportunity to go and practice and go to meets with Batavia. We all made it to sectionals in our events. 2 of us made it to state qualifiers in our events. It was an amazing opportunity. We all improved in our races. And you guys have anything?
Thank you. We should do it next year. Definitely.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity, and I'm glad that the coaching staff there was great for us. It was nice.
Thanks for coming to talk to us. It's nice hearing that Batavia was so welcoming to you guys and did such a great job in helping you get your skills where they could shine.
Yeah, they definitely accepted us, and it was awesome.
Great. Well, thank you for representing OA. Very much appreciated. Great job.
Thank you.
So I promise of the students when I asked them to come and be recognized that they could leave after the student presentation portion of the meeting. So that's it for my presentation tonight and my recognition. So if you would like to leave, you're welcome to. You're also welcome to stay as well. Officer Wilson is welcome to address the board next.
Officer Wilson is next up to us to present. He's visiting with the students in the hallway.
Do you need
The floor is yours.
Everybody here knows me. Oh, if you don't, I'm Howard Wilson. I've been SRO here now for 2.5 months. In that time, I've gone to the Safe School seminars at UB, listened to the likes of the Combine Principal, and walked away with a lot of information from that. Also, I spent a week at the SRO Basic course. I left my certificate in that, so I'm now certified school resource officer as far as New York State goes. In my time, I start my mornings greeting the students with the administration right here in the high school. And then I walk the halls after that, inside and outside, patrolling in my vehicle, just checking for safety precautions. Anything that doesn't look right. It's been a few instances, a couple teachers have had their trunks open, just simple things like that I'm on the look for. As far as anything that's I've been dealing with or anything that's out of the norm, as far as kids go, the kids are good here for the most part. There isn't much as far as drugs and alcohol go. We do have our issues with vaping. Those kids are being handled by the school. I'm really just a mentorship, just helping the school explain how students' decision making could carry some serious offenses in the future. And it all starts with making better decisions. Throughout the day, I connect with the kids as much as I can just by walking the halls, but I really make a stride to get into gym class. Just being active and throwing the ball and losing in a game of peg or getting the ball booted at me at 100 miles an hour in indoor soccer, the kids open up to that. They seem to enjoy it. Also stop into art class here at the high school. And that's just speaking here. As far as the elementary school goes, the kids are awesome down there. The teachers are great. The administration's great. My role there is really, it's not that in depth. It's just talking to the kids about their behavioral outbursts, saying things they shouldn't say, or just trying to find them a different way to outlet their anger. The kids down there are great. But other than that, I'm currently in the process of putting together a PowerPoint for distracted driving and the importance of that. Also a school survey I'm going to be doing and getting to the school board here probably by the end of May. I'm going to have that completed. Other than that, the days go great. There isn't any routine that you see as far as the kids who are in trouble. It's the same kids. It's the same kids over and over. It's like road patrol. We do the same people in a repetitious manner. And you got to find your way to break that pattern before they get too old and the consequences get too severe. So I'm working on that. I'm just trying to find your individual way to talk with the individual. Other than that, I can answer a few questions if you guys have any.
What's the nature of the survey you're going to present?
Just basically how the safety's set up, if the windows are working in working order, if how the environment is, if it's inviting, just the overall outlay of the property and my perception on if it's safe or not, and what recommendations I can make not here to pound my fist on the table and say you have to make changes. It's just, you know, these are some things that can be looked at. If not, that's fine. I'm still here, but it's just suggestions, really.
Oh, how do you think it's going, making connections with the kids and starting to build those relationships?
I was kind of hands off in the high school for a little bit. The elementary kids, not to toot my horn, but you're a superhero to them.
Probably natural talent in there, right?
It's natural. The middle school kids were great. The high school kids were a little standoffish, so I didn't force myself into their classes right away. Let them get used to me being here, seeing me here. Then I started to interject myself in the gym and art class and things like that. So really, I don't want to interrupt math class or social studies. Overall, you have to pay attention to those classes. You know, art class is more. I can ask them what they're doing, and they can describe it to me, and like Jim, just participating with them, create that mutual respect and that relationship. So, yeah, I think it's going good overall.
Good to hear. Anything you would ask of us? Anything that you see in the first couple months that would assist that maybe the board could help you with, or?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Well, that's good.
The administration's been great. I mean, I have no questions on them. Anything I've raised has been answered, so I have no gripes at all.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
How do we do during our safety drills?
The drill
Yeah.
that we did, it was good. I know it was longer than most expected it to be when we went through the lockdown drill, but we had the desired effect with most of the students and the teachers. So it kind of opened their eyes a little bit to what could actually happen, versus this is just another routine drill. There's no such thing as routine in my job. So we just have to practice for anything. So it went well, in my opinion.
Any other questions?
When you do your survey for the safety, and as a follow-up for listening to the people from, or the person from Columbine talk, are there changes to be made for the advice we always got to hide under the tables and just stay there?
In that survey, it's not as far as an attack goes. It's more or less how the building lies and its invitational factors, and if it's a friendly atmosphere. I'll also be doing another report as well on suggestions. But
is the survey your observations, or are you questioning people and then compiling?
I'll be compiling as well. I'm going to have a few other deputies walk the grounds with me and get their input, and basically the networking I've done with other SROs in the area. So I'm close with Pat Reeves and Pembroke and Eric Meyer and Alexander, so I'd ask for their opinion. So I'd have them come and relay what they have to say. As far as training goes, I'm not going to try and, like for yourself, I'm not going to try and change your habits. You've been training the same way for so long.
Oh, well, I always thought it was kind of kooky to hide under the table and let somebody come in and shoot us all. So
Agreed. Agreed, yeah.
I just wondered if they
Yeah.
heard. I heard that the Columbine people were recommending other responses now. So
Yeah, when it comes to things like that, there's no right or wrong. It's just the school standing in their perception on what's the most safe. And if I can find a way to back that, in my opinion, then I will back it. If I think something might be safer, I'll bring it up. I'll suggest it, but I'm not going to make anybody change anything.
Anything else?
Yeah, what type of future goals or objectives do you have?
How far in the future?
Hopefully not too far in the future.
Yeah.
You know?
I think realistically, I'd like to attend the DARE program, become a DARE officer. It's a 2-week process, and just look at any other related trainings I can, put forth here at the school. Whether it's, it's hard to say bomb in a school, but bomb trainings and things like that, and how to act in terrorist situations. There's all things that police officers don't get trained for until they're in the situation they need to be trained for. So I wasn't trained as an SRO because the sheriff wasn't going to pay me to be an SRO if I wasn't going to get into school. So that's why I got the training afterwards. And does that answer your question?
A little bit. You said you're pushing in gym classes.
Not pushing in, but I participate if the kids ask me to. You know, and I walk through, and if I get the, hey, Officer Wilson, you want to play? Absolutely, I'm going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a couple things to think about. They may or may not work. I don't know, but maybe you can collaborate with the phys ed kids or the teachers, and provide kind of like safety training to our students.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things going on, especially, you know, look at with Uber and Lyft and things like that.
Yeah.
And just general, you know, safety tips.
Yeah.
Because once these kids leave here, they're going, you know, either military, workforce, or college.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a little safety training before they leave.
Yeah, they did their introduction to CPR in gym class, and I was walking around during that. I didn't offer any advice to the gym teachers. I didn't want to step on their toes, so it'll be something I'll definitely look at and give with the gym teachers. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, I don't know all the particulars to it, but possibly down the road, starting up a police explorer club.
Oh, it's good you mentioned that. The sheriff's office does have a teen academy that we put on in the summer. It takes place at Byron Virgin. I'm going to be a teacher at that this summer, specifically traffic stops, so safety and traffic stops is what I'll be gearing towards. But that's grades 10 through 12, so there is a week-long program that we have. But I agree with the Explorer program as well.
How does the Sheriff's Department recruit for that?
It's open enrollment. You have to be in good academic standing, limited discipline, but it's free. If you show any interest in it, you take the permission slip home and you get it signed by your parents and turn it back into me or the guidance counselor.
So how are the students at OA going to hear about that? Are you going into
I have
English
a flyer.
classes?
I have a flyer outside my office now. I just got a packet on Friday that I shared with the counselors, the school counselors. So they'll be having flyers and pamphlets and permission slips as well. So we'll be making some advertisements known.
Anything else? Okay, great. Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're doing a great job. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, I think that's it for presentations. Let's see, moving on to 3.1. Be resolved that the minutes of the 3/19 and 4/2 meetings be approved. Have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Any visitor requests?
No.
Okay. On to warrants. 5.1, be resolved that after an audit of the bills, payment of the 3/21 and 4/4 warrants, and internal claims auditor reports be approved. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. 5.2, be resolved that the March 2019 treasurer's report be approved. Motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay, on to the third reading of searches and student interviews. So we've been through this a couple times. Is there anything else? Any other suggestions, or are we comfortable with where this stands now?
Are we taking that confiscating contraband out altogether?
I made the corrections based upon your recommendations.
Is there something in there so, Bonnie, that you weren't in there?
Well, they crossed out if a scan shields items prohibited by the rules of the school, then a contraband or weapon will be confiscated.
That was my understanding, because it was discarded after 3 business days.
Well, I agree that they should confiscate them, but I don't. We were just talking about
The discarding.
discarding them after 3 years.
Right, so
It still says he's confiscated.
Yeah, it still says it will be confiscated and preserved for law enforcement, and I believe we had discussed that we would just cross out those last two sentences and just leave it kind of open-ended. Because I think the concern was about discarding after 3 business days, and if it was something that the parents felt they needed back or whatever, it just gave us a little more leeway, so that's why it was stricken.
I have a question under, I think it's the second page, second paragraph. School officials acting alone and on their own authority without the involvement of or on behalf of law enforcement officials, parentheses, at least until after the questioning of students by school authorities has been conducted, close quote, close parentheses, are not required to give the so-called Miranda warnings, that is, advising a person prior to any custodial interviews as defined in law of their rights. That word custodial interview, maybe the SRO will have to talk to that. Is an interview by an administrator considered custodial, since in our school district, if you call a student into an administrator's office, that student is not allowed to leave until dismissed. Is that a custodial interview? Do you know?
It depends on the criminality behind it. If there's criminal charges behind it, I'd say yes.
But if they're just interviewing the student?
No, if it's just an interview or...
Even though they're not allowed to leave?
Correct. I would say if it has anything to do criminally, it would be an infringement. If it's not criminal, just an interview, they can be held for questioning.
Any other comments or concerns? Okay. Be it resolved that policy number 7330, searches and student interviews, be adopted as written. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. On to Nicole.
So I just have a couple of things for you tonight. So I started to pull together the information for the veterans exemption, and it's much more information than I really had originally thought. So the time has passed for us to pass something, to enact it for the 2009 tax school year. All of the applications would have had to been due to the tax offices of the assessor's office really by March 1st. So we are going to be acting on something that would be for the 2020 tax year. So it'll be our 2021 fiscal year. So I did start to pull the information together, and I am planning on presenting next month, but I don't have all of the figures together, and I wanted to be very certain because there's a number of different exemptions and different exemption levels, and there's a so there's a wartime exemption, there's for what you had served, different things. So I just want to make sure I'm very thoughtful about what I'm presenting to you and that I have enough time to look at the data, relook at the data, and make thoughtful decisions for you all to look at. So I haven't done that yet. I have pulled the majority of the information in. And again, I will be getting that to you at the next meeting.
Yeah, it sounds like we got a lot of time there. The important thing to me was that Bob would realize that this was something we took seriously, that we're working on it. It sounds like we're doing it.
Yep. And we are not the only school that has not done this in Genesee County. Alexander actually just did it December of 2018, and Leroy and Pavilion are still not. That information I did.
Is Alexander the only one who has done it?
No, all the other schools in Genesee County besides Leroy and Pavilion, but Alexander just most recently passed the resolution. So. And again, there's different levels of what the exemption is for those people who qualify. So we would have to do it at a certain level. So that's the reason why there's a lot of data to crunch, kind of. So I just want to, again, make sure I'm very thoughtful about it and understand exactly what it is, because there's 7 pages of information on it, on the handbook, just for the exemption part. So again, I just want to make sure I understand it before I present it to you, and so you can understand it.
Thank you.
So the only other thing that I have is, so our maintenance department is going around and doing some special projects, and they did replace the ceiling in here. So if you notice some things they're trying to do to continue to improve the beautification of the school, this is one of them. So, I mean, I noticed a difference in folks when they're in here to me, so I just wanted to point that out. I don't have anything else.
Okay. Any questions for Nicole? All right, great. Thanks, Nicole. John?
Sure, just real quick. Currently, we have 21 applications as of this morning for the Director of the Curriculum Assessment Instruction position, which is fantastic. I will have to pre-screen candidates for the full committee interviews that will occur the second week of May, but I just wanted to give the board a heads up that we're getting many hits on that position, so we hope to go through the process and find someone that is very valuable and will help our district move forward. So that's all I have at this time.
How many candidates do you expect to interview?
I'm going to pre-screen all of them as long as they are certified. There are two that currently we had out of here that don't have the certifications that we're looking for. But I will pre-screen everyone that's eligible. From there, I'm hoping to maybe narrow it down to possibly 8 candidates.
What certifications are you looking for?
A teaching certificate and a school district leader certification in New York State.
That's like a general administrative degree?
No, there's a school building and then there's a district one. It needs to be the district one if we want this person to be a part of teacher observations and evaluations. They'll need to be certified as a district leader, not a building leader.
Okay. Any other questions for John? All right, great. Thanks, John. Moving on to new business, via consent agenda, be it resolved that items 8.2 through 8.6 be approved. I have a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Communications, I don't think there's anything beyond what sits in front of us here. Discussion roundtable, didn't get anything from anybody, I'm assuming nothing's popped up recently. Okay. Subcommittee reports, nothing on HACS and scholarship and nothing on SOAR, the other 4. Any of the representatives have anything going on there?
When does the committee usually meet on SOAR? Just for my own
As needed. I don't think.
Just as we're wrapping up this year, do they meet sometime in May, June to talk about fall, or is that something that's done over the summer? Just again for my own knowledge.
Something like that. I think the 2 superintendents, when they felt like there was something that needed to be discussed, but there wasn't a regular meeting time frame.
Okay.
All right, I guess that's it there. On to personnel via consent agenda, items 11.2 through 7.6 be resolved. Items 11.2 through 11.6 be approved. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Any second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Did Mr. Walters take his back, or did he get bumped not being a teacher anymore?
It's my understanding that he had talked to Jeff about coaching if nobody else was interested. And so you had appointed him because nobody had come forward. And since then, a teacher had expressed some interest. So this is all a good situation.
Okay.
Kind of backed off and said, sure. So yeah, it was all good.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, executive session. Be resolved, the Board of Education enter executive session at 6:35 p.m. for the purpose of contract negotiations. Personnel. Have a motion?
Second.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. So.